Good morning, Senator Dolan. Merry Christmas to you.
Good morning, Hugh. Merry Christmas to you.
I want to begin with a question that I asked 5 Minnesota gubernatorial candidates last Wednesday night and Josh Mandel this week, and I want to frame it exactly the same way. Did President Biden win the constitutional majority in the Electoral College? If yes, how definitive is your conclusion? If no, please explain which states you think are in dispute and why.
The answer is yes. And look, the Constitution, on January 6th, the Constitution required the Congress, the Senate, and the House to certify the election. So I don't know how, if you claim you're a constitutionalist and you're following the strict letter of the law, you needed to certify. Otherwise, turn the elections over to the federal court, federal branch of government.
All right, that's all I needed. Thank you, Senator. I just asked everyone the same question. Now I want to talk to you about infrastructure. Rob Portman negotiated, and Leader McConnell assembled 17 Republicans to pass the infrastructure bill. I had a quick aside to President Trump last week. I liked the infrastructure bill. I would have voted for it. He didn't like the infrastructure bill. I did. What did you think about it, and what's your opinion on it?
So I like the infrastructure bill negotiated by Rob Portman, and I'm the only candidate on the Senate side who supports it. This is a bill that is targeted, and it will help Ohio. I mean, think about what this bill does, Hugh. We haven't had an infrastructure bill on the federal level in years, and what this bill does is it allows skilled trade workers, middle-class jobs, all over the state, East Ohio, and you say you're for economic development, which I am. I'm the only one that can look them in the eye and say, I supported your broadband, because that's going to bring telehealth. That's going to bring education and jobs to the area. It's all over the state. Dayton with their public transportation, Cleveland with our rails and our ports, Columbus with I-70 71. I mean, if you've been in Columbus, you've sat in that traffic. You know how debilitating that can be to the economic growth.
Well, let's cut to the chase, though. What's in it for Warren? I talked to Bernie Moreno last week. I read a story about Louisville. They are building Amazon warehouses in Louisville because they have energy, workers, and water. Well, we have more energy, more workers, and more water in Youngstown, Warren, but we're not getting the Amazon stuff. Will the infrastructure help?
It will help, but the reason it helps is because it's part of a larger focus that we need to get back to, and I'm the only Republican in this race who has experience who can back up what I'm saying. You need to be laser focused on the development and the representation of Ohio. You picked up on something really big. We have water here. We should be using it as an economic development tool all over the state. We shouldn't be losing out to Kentucky on projects that require energy. We have multiple sources of energy in Ohio, and I've been focused in the state Senate on promoting both. All of the above energy, making sure we have a water economy, but infrastructure is huge. We sit 600 miles from 60% of the United States population. We are the epicenter of getting products out. Can we talk about water for a moment, because people don't get this. The 80% of the surface water in the United States is in the Great Lakes. We've got Lake Erie. We've got the most of Lake Erie, and we can fend off Michigan because they're incompetent. So we can use that. Why don't we sell that? I mean, Ohio should be, anyone who wants water guaranteed in the years ahead needs to come to Buckeye Land. Absolutely. The best said. But the thing, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about why I had an instrumental part in that.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I saw that as well. I saw where Ohio could thrive, and that was with water. So when I was in the House of Representatives in the state, I negotiated the Great Lakes Compact, which said, look, we know what a great asset we have, so if you want to access it, you come to Ohio. You come to the Great Lakes region, and your company can thrive. We're not shipping our water to you. And we're starting to see that happen. But we need to be more aggressive. We need to make sure that in Washington, when I'm in the U.S. Senate, that we do not deviate at all from diverting Great Lakes water. We represent the Great Lakes region with every strength and every ounce of energy to know that that is a source of economic development here in Ohio. It also will create those jobs I talked about that the infrastructure will create.
Let's talk about the dark side, Senator. 100,000 overdose deaths in the United States last year, a disproportionate number of them in Ohio. The west side of Warren is a pretty bad, bleak place right now because of that. I stay in touch with this. Rob Portman has been a leader on fentanyl and stopping it and treating it. What's Matt Dolan going to do?
So what I've done in the state Senate is introduce some bills that deal with a whole host of issues. It deals with law enforcement to make sure that we are cracking down on the dealers. I'm the only one in the race that has any prosecutorial authority. I've done it in the past. We are also working on rehab issues. But let's focus on where the real issue is right now. And I'm not one for big hyperbole, but what I know is happening right now is fentanyl is coming into the state of Ohio because our borders are open. And if we don't address that issue, it's going to be a never-ending battle with these opiate deaths. We've got to secure the border, and the Biden administration has allowed this border crisis to happen, and we need to I need to get in the U.S. Senate, be in the majority, and be able to start implementing policies that we know who's coming into our country and we know what they are bringing. If you talk to any law enforcement, I've talked to them all over the state. I've talked to them in my role as prosecutor years ago. I've talked to my role as legislature, and I've talked to my role as candidate. And they will tell you that the flow of fentanyl into Ohio is scary. They've never seen anything like this. So
Wow.
There is a point we can address it, and that's at the border. And the things I've done in the state to make sure that the police have the tools necessary to crack down on the dealers, and to make sure that people who get addicted, we can get them clean. We need to get them clean, and we need them to stay clean, because that's where the deaths come.
Okay, last question, Senator. I told Bernie Moreno, who's on last week, I don't let people beat up on my buddy Tim Ryan, because he's a friend, right? He's wrong. He's not rotten. He's a good guy. Quarterback for the Penguins, wonderful guy. I went to Warren Kennedy. But he got to lose, right? So why are you better positioned than the other five? Because we don't get the majority without Ohio. Why are you better positioned than the other five to beat Tim?
Well, politically, policy-wise, I'm the only one who can address Ohio issues and go to Washington with experience to fight Ohio issues. Politically, I'm the only one that's been on the ballot that can prove that I can get independent votes. I outperformed President Trump by 11,000 votes two times, which means I can get Trump Republican votes and I can get the all-important independent votes that are necessary to send me to Washington.
What about cash? This is going to be the most expensive race in Ohio history and maybe the history of states not named California. You're going to be able to compete.
Yes.
And how? I mean, I think, doesn't Bernie have $1 billion to burn?
I don't know what my opponents have, but I know that I have put a plan. I have a great team, and we are going to be able to execute on a plan that's going to win.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, Matt Dolan. I appreciate your coming on the week before Christmas. Enjoy it with friends and family. Have a good Ohio Christmas, and we'll talk in the new year.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you. I want to be able to play